Moving on now into more serious news. A Nigerian HIV advocate known online as Undetectable Chika has sparked a lot of debate and outrage after alleging that a church denied him his chance to share his testimony because of his HIV status. In a now viral video, Chika explains that he wanted to publicly thank God during a service but was blocked by church officials who reportedly felt that his story was inappropriate for the pulpit. Now, Chika, who is living with HIV, says that he's now undetectable, which is a medical term meaning that the virus is suppressed to such low levels that it can't be detected by standard tests and cannot be sexually transmitted. He says that to him, being undetectable is a miracle worth sharing because it is a sign of hope, resilience, and divine mercy. Take a look at this video.
This is the very fifth time I will come to church and give my testimony and then they will reject me. Fifth time. I tried stigmatization because, I mean, being undetectable is a testimony. The miracle is not only when HIV is no longer in your life. Yeah, to see if I was going to hear my name. People of God, they did not mention my name again. They did not even mention its written form. You are seeing, they did not even mention its written form. And this is a church where everybody is supposed to be one. This is a church that's supposed to include everyone. The person who was even mentioning the names. When I came to church, I went to meet him. He was the one I asked, where is the place I can actually give my testimony?
Of course, this restriction by his church has raised larger questions. Do Nigerian churches owe their pulpit to every believer with a story to tell, no matter how uncomfortable? Or are religious leaders within their rights to curate the kinds of testimonies that are shared in the interest of decency, tradition, or public sensitivity? This is very interesting. Let's take a look at what you guys think on social media. Black Diamond says, God already acknowledged your testimony. You don't need human validation if it's not given. Your church is just a gathering of people who come to worship God. If you're not allowed to share your testimony, then move on. God sees it all. That's if your viral story is true anyway. It is true, he's an advocate. Cooked by God says, but shouldn't he be happy that they didn't give him the opportunity to embarrass himself? Imagine saying you are undetectable in Nigeria. You think girls will still want to have anything to do with you or even other church members? You guys will use anything as content. That sounds like stigma if I ever saw it. Team, this is very interesting and very scary. What do you think about this church? You know, he said about 5 to 7 times now, denying him the opportunity to share his testimony. Should we be curating what goes on the pulpit, or do we risk losing out on important stories and testimonies when we allow stigma take the wheel?
Tell your story. I believe that church is a place where positive stories should be shared. And his story, for me, is what happens to you when you take your antiretroviral drugs regularly, and to get people to know that HIV/AIDS is no more a death sentence.
I think that if he feels the church is refusing to listen to his story, he can share that on his platform as he has done. And a number of persons that are even much more than those present in the church would hear him. His story has gone viral. So that's he also sharing that testimony. I think the church has a right to decide who should speak on what on their stage. If they don't want you, find somewhere else. It's that simple.
Well, for me, I'll say God wants everybody. God is not discriminating, and I don't understand why the pastor was discriminating. If he wanted to share his story, let him share his story. After all, that's his church. I don't like the fact that, oh, if truly, you know, because he has HIV, they don't want him to share the testimony. God has done something in his life, and a testimony, whether big or small, as long as you acknowledge that God has done something in your life, it's okay to share it. So I don't agree with the church, and I don't understand why they did that, but I'm happy that his story is out there because we're talking about it right now, so people get to hear the testimony at the end of the day. And to Nafisa, quickly, I am so proud of her. I saw the news yesterday. I'm like, go girl, she's super intelligent, Olamide. Like, just to see how she did it, I really pray that they reward her with something. Maybe not $100 million or something, but they should reward her actually.
Yeah. I also support the motion that she should be well rewarded, because we know some people who do not even deserve anything, and they get like 150 million or thereabouts. But the thing is, you know, for the young guy who is finding it difficult to share his testimony, is it compulsory to share testimony? Just be in the corner of your room and thank God for the miracle that you've witnessed. It's not compulsory. The other person hears it. If you want to say it, as Veronica said, Open your Twitter, your TikTok, whatever, and then share the testimony there. It behoves the churches to decide whether it is ethical or not ethical for that kind of a testimony to be shared, via the pulpits.
Now, Tim, I want to say I completely agree with you. The church does have a right to curate the content that goes on their pulpits. However, I think that the bigger issue here remains their reason, their motivations for stopping him.
Did he
There's a lot of stigma still related to the HIV, virus.
Did he ask?
I think that's the bigger issue here. But I'll take some more stories.